Still dealing with some leftover lake effect snow across northwestern Pennsylvania into western New York, off of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Winter storm warnings do remain in effect for the counties of Wyoming, Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, including the cities of Warsaw, Jamestown, Orchard Park, and Springville, where an additional 2 to 5 inches of snow is expected through tomorrow morning. Taking a look across northwestern New York, you still have winter storm warnings also in effect for the cities of Rochester, Oswego, and Watertown, where an additional few inches is also expected through early tomorrow morning. And then across northwest PA, we do have lake effect snow warnings still in effect across Erie and Crawford counties, including the cities of Corry, Edinboro, Erie, Titusville, Union City, and Meadville, where an additional 3 to 6 inches of snow is possible through tomorrow morning, especially where the snow is most persistent. And then lake effect snow warnings across northeastern Ohio are about to expire. They are only in effect until 7 p.m. this evening, where most places at this point are likely to see less than an inch of additional snowfall accumulations through the evening. Snow is quickly pushing out of the area as we speak. Now to what we all are waiting for, and that is the story for Sunday. And boy, am I telling you that this is going to be a very close call. I'm going to show you what the snowfall potential map looks like as of right now. I made it this morning. Let's take a look at that. I'm sure we've all seen the hype regarding the southeast snow potential for Sunday morning. And I want to show you here, and I want to make it very clear, it's not going to be a lot of snow. But it doesn't take much to cause some issues down south because they don't have the material to keep up with it. They don't have the plows. They don't have the salt. They just don't have the supplies to keep up with it. But I don't think that it's going to cause major issues. But I will tell you that there is going to be cold air, especially on the northwest side of the system. And as it's pushing up and along and out to sea, you will likely get the chance of some light snow across portions of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, possibly into northern Florida. But it's not going to be a lot of snow. It's mostly going to be rain, but then it might change over to a brief period of light snow, but not much in terms of accumulations, which we'll start talking about accumulation potential by tomorrow. But don't expect a lot of snow, but it could be enough to cause some slippery travel in some places, but it's not going to be a lot of snow. And I want to talk about what the models are showing because I think it's very interesting. It's a very close call, but I still do believe that it's going to be more offshore. The bulk of the storm is going to be offshore, and I'll tell you why, and I'll show you why here in a second. Let's move to the models now. So in regards to the Sunday storm, here's the energy that we're going to be dealing with. And look, this is what we call a positively tilted trough. It's tilted from, as you can see here, tilted from the northeast to the southwest. And we move this along here. Let me move this along. And here's the energy that we're going to be dealing with. See this energy? It kind of gets out ahead of this northern trough here. Here's a northern trough. And here's the energy. It kind of gets slightly out ahead, ever so slightly out ahead. And then it moves. Let's move this along. Look at this tilt. It's more of a neutral tilt. And I want to show you, look where the flow is out of. It's out of the southwest. And that's going to help push this storm, the surface storm, out to sea. If you wanted it to come up the coast, you'd want it to be negatively tilted where you get flow out of the south or southeast. And that would drive the storm back towards the coast and up and along the coast. But we don't have that. What we do have is more of a neutral tilt, which is from north to south. And the flow is more out of the southwest, which will kind of kick this surface storm that forms out to sea, where you might get some snow grazing the coast. And I mean some. I don't think it's going to be a lot. But small differences in the upper level energy here would mean a huge difference at the surface. So if this would just be a little bit closer to the coast, yes, you could get a substantial snow along the coast. I don't think that's going to happen. Models are in agreement that this thing stays primarily offshore. But I want to also show you this energy here coming in behind it. Let me just move this back here. See this energy coming in behind this main piece. This also helps to kind of kick this out rather than allowing it to come up the coast. So there's two reasons as to why it goes out the coast, and that's the tilt of the trough, but then also that piece of energy coming in behind helps to kick this thing offshore rather than allowing this energy to ride up and along the coast and along that frontal boundary that I was telling you about that's going to be draped along the coast, extending all the way down to the Gulf. And I'm going to show you what it looks like at the surface, and I'll show you the European model too, even though they're pretty much in agreement at this point. but I'll show you what it looks like at the surface. And I mean, this is a very close call. Here's that snow potential for Sunday morning across the southeast through the day on Sunday. Let's back it up here. It across northern Florida, it shows some snow. It shows it starting as rain in a lot of places, and possibly changing over to some snow into Georgia and then South Carolina, North Carolina. But then look over here. Here's the storm system, and here you can see the snow is sort of clipping. It's just grazing the coast. And then up in New England, that's where it's going to be very tricky. It's a very close call up in New England because, like I said, small differences in the upper level energy make a huge difference at the surface. If this was just a little bit further to the west, if the trough axis was a little bit further to the west, and this thing gained just a slightly negative tilt, it could guide the storm back, drive it back, and then up and along the coast, and we could get snow in New England. I don't think that's going to happen at this point. I really don't think that this is going to amount to much other than some snow across the southeast, which obviously there's been a lot of hype about. Still don't think it's going to be a lot of snow, but there's a snow potential across the southeast. But look how close this is. I mean, let's zoom in here. I'm gonna zoom in. I rarely zoom in because I like to look at the big picture, but I want to zoom in on this. Let's zoom in up across the northeast here. I mean, look how close this is. I mean, you got snow along portions of Cape Cod potentially. Not a lot of snow, but it grazes. I mean, it grazes the coast. It is razor thin. I mean, it is this close to affecting the New England and the East Coast. European, pretty much the same deal. Let me show you what the European looks like. So here's the European. Here's the energy coming in. It's rounding the base of the trough. And look at this. You get this neutrally tilted trough here. And like I said, look where the flow is out of. It's out of the southwest. That kicks the surface storm that forms right offshore. But then you also get this stronger piece of energy here coming in behind it. And that helps to scoot this thing offshore. And the storm that forms at the surface remains primarily offshore. And another interesting thing about the European is the if you have to rewind the video and look at the GFS model, there's a lot less snow in the southeast with the European. And I do tend to believe the European when it comes to snowfall and winter forecasting over the GFS. And GFS tends to overdo snowfall and snowfall amounts. I do tend to believe the European depiction. I really don't think it's possible, and that's why I put it in the snowfall potential map that I showed you previously. But I think northern Florida, I think it's going to be rain. I mean, it might change over to a brief period of snow. You might get some mix, but I was looking at the soundings, and let me see if I can pull up a sounding here. It doesn't really support snow. At least when I pulled it up earlier where I clicked, it doesn't seem to support snow. How much can I zoom in there? Look at that. You got a nice warm layer up in here. I mean, it just doesn't look like I don't think northern Florida is really going to see any snow out of this. I could be wrong. You might get some wet flakes to mix in, but I really don't think that northern Florida, even southern Georgia, I feel like might not get snow out of this. I think maybe South Carolina or North Carolina, but that's not even the whole point of this because we'll come out with we'll have a better idea on that tomorrow. But look how close this is, especially up in the New England region. Let me zoom in again one more time here. Zoom in. Let's go to the Northeast. I mean, this is a close call. This is what we call a close call. I mean, look at Cape Cod is right here, and you got the back edge of this storm system that's further out to sea, right up against the coast. I mean, a small little difference in where that energy was positioned would make a huge difference at the surface, and we are missing it by just a hair. I mean, we are missing it by just a hair, but this isn't going to be our only chance for snow coming up. I want to show you the longer range. We're not going to go into exact details because we can't this far out, but we can show you what the overall pattern looks like, and it does support the chance for more snow and the chance for more storms across the U.S. So let's move on into that real quick before we end the video. Now, this is midweek, and I want you to take notice to the cold air. Look how far south the 540 line is. The 540 line is typically what we use as the rain snow line. It's pretty far south. So we're going to have some cold air present over this coming week into this coming weekend. And then not only that, we're going to have energy to deal with. So let me show you the upper air map because that's primarily what I want to look at. I don't really want to, I'll show you what it looks like at the surface, but you can't really get like too much out of the surface maps this far out. But look at this energy coming down in. And we're going to have a frontal boundary draped like this, kind of like along the southeast through the central United States. If we can get energy to ride up and along, you can get storms out of that. And if it's north, and if the storm tracks farther north, you can get the precipitation to be on the cold side of that frontal boundary, and you get snow. And that's what the models are showing, or that's what the European is showing right now. And I'm sure you saw the big hype on what the GFS was showing the other day, where it dropped like 40 or 50 inches across portions of the Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic. That hiccup is gone. I mean, you can't take these models literally this far out. And I think a lot of meteorologists do. That's where they go wrong. They take the models literally this far out, but you want to look at the overall pattern. And this is what the pattern is setting up to be. You're going to get cold air across the central and eastern half of the country. We're going to have energy diving down in. If you can get this energy to ride up and along that frontal boundary and you get precipitation on the cold side, you can get snow. And look at this. You get, I mean, this is at the surface, and then look at that. 2 shots of snow potentially by late next weekend and early next week. But don't focus on the surface, focus on the large scale pattern. Cold air, energy, frontal boundary, potential for snow. So stay tuned. Anything changes, I'll let you guys know. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and subscribe.